Hello, good evening. This cavernous voice with a thick accent is Guillermo del Toro, and next to me is the fabulous Peter Frankfurt.
Guillermo, you're too kind.
That mid-Atlantic accent with fake Harvard education, that's Peter Frankfurt.
Community college all the way, I assure you.
And we're here to entertain you while you find out why the fuck this channel has two assholes talking and not the movie.
Guillermo, I just want to say that I'm so impressed with your introduction. If the directing thing doesn't work out,
I will be an MC.
Yeah, I can go.
Well, here's the opening of the movie was what we wanted to do with this was graduate the action so that we would literally have the best and biggest fight of the movie towards the end. And we know that the first one had a great opening.
And never topped it.
Well, but it was a great, the blood shower, which was fantastic. And we knew that if we opened with an action scene, we would not, we would need to be that big, and then we probably were risking never being able to achieve that climax again. And
well, also, Guillermo, I mean, the opening of the movie, the first movie was really a signature Norrington scene.
Yes.
And I think this is kind of a signature Del Toro scene.
In a way, it's very atmospheric, and it's a little calmer, but it will turn into a nice bloodbath in a few seconds. And what we talked, this scene originally in the screenplay, when I read it, was on page 20. It came after Nisa said, we were preparing to hunt you. And I moved it up to the front, and I decided that this would be a difference from the start between the two movies. The first movie opens like an action movie, and the second one opens like basically a horror action movie.
Just as a aside,
yeah.
When you were deciding whether or not you wanted to do the movie, and we were introducing you to the studio,
yes,
the word horror was banished from our vocabulary.
Yes,
because that scared everyone, even though both of us knew that that's exactly what we wanted to do.
And I managed to scare them at one point.
Yes, you scared them right out of the room.
Well, the thing with this is that we wanted to leave very clearly in the audience's mind how dangerous No Mike is, and we wanted to right off the bat show the audience that we're not kidding. So we start with this Jackson Pollock moment that is about to occur. The Jackson Pollock bite, which is what I call this. There we go. And it could be red number 5 hanging in the wall of the museum somewhere. And we wanted to establish comic book moments like this one, which is completely like out of a cartoon. The guy leaving an imprint in the tile. And finally end in a really high note with a scene that I actually had tried to put in 3 screenplays, which is this coming up, someone opening his mouth, and something coming out of it alive. And there we go.
And I made Guillermo promise that it would be really dark, so he wouldn't be able to see what was coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, well, that was a promise I kept.
Yes, indeed.
This was a title sequence that was shot after the fact, to clarify those people entering late with popcorn and all that.
Yeah, it's interesting. We had always assumed that everyone knew
the first movie,
the backstory intimately, and the studio wasn't so sure, and the test screenings bore out that there was a little bit of confusion about Blade's particular qualities, his powers, and his agenda, the fact that he was looking for Whistler.
So the Imaginary Forces, which is a company owned by an incredibly handsome man called
Kyle Cooper,
and from Peter Frankfurt, they designed this introduction, which we shot in over half a day, and essentially is very iconic, very entertaining, and it shows Blade in a more heroic, suiting up type of moment.
Just also to kind of pace out the introduction of the character.
Yeah.
Give him...
I love that shot, by the way.
To fluff the audience, as it were.
It's the fluffer scene. And here we got to the first action scene, which is the first full-on introduction of Blade, which I wanted to do a little bit like a Doom video game, these corridors that are like straight out of Doom.
Yeah, some of the critics mentioned that.
Yes, they did. And this moment right here, that this shot which is 80 frames. We go from 24 frames to 80 frames, and it's a little bit of a moment where you can see Blade, like in the Roadrunner cartoons, where Willie E. Coyote was frozen and a line appeared underneath. Coyotus vulgaris or something. I wanted to kind of freeze Blade in mid-movement.
Fortunately, we talked Guillermo out of that.
Yeah.
Just to point out that the scene that we just saw in the hallway wasn't really in the script.
No, we made it up.
Because when Wesley arrived in Prague and he refreshed himself with the material, he called me down to his wardrobe fitting and says, "Pete, there's not enough action at the front. I need to do more."
We had this. All this was scripted. From the moment they descend the staircase, it was scripted. The only thing that was not scripted was the thing before, shooting the vampires in the corridor and jumping down from the beams. And we made it up right there and then.
It happened to be adjacent to this location.
Yeah, it was right next door. This is the first week of shoot, and this is the shot that I love the most, and that introduces the L-cam, liberated camera, which is the marrying of actually 3 shots through digital links into what seems to be a single shot. That technique we use then about 10 times in the movie, and every time to try to get the fluidity of a Japanese animation cartoon or a comic book moment.
Yeah, and truly hats off to Tippett Studios.
Tippett Studios really pulled off the photorealistic stuff, except in 2 shots, which I will point out because I fucking hate them.
Yeah, we'll freeze on them.
We'll freeze on them. And this, again, I wanted to give the whole movie the feeling of a cartoon, and perspectives following the boomerang landing on his hand and all that kind of stuff, which would keep it very dynamic in a cartoonish way, not in a serious, realistic action.
But the interesting kind of counter to that is your visual kind of graphic take on the material and keeping it cartoony. Comic book was kind of in counterpoint to Wesley's approach to
the fighting.
To the fighting, which he wanted to be
completely real.
Really brutal, really street.
This is my favorite L-cam moment there. And this is the first gag I pitched to the studio. When I went and met on this movie, the first thing I pitched to Mike DeLuca was, what about this guy jumping over the motorcycle, landing on the back seat, decapitating guy, and taking over the motorcycle? That was...
Imagine Guillermo actually demonstrating that.
Yes, I demonstrated it and broke 2 chairs. This is a really good friend of mine. He's a comedian in Spain, probably the biggest comic star in Spain, the Santiago Segura, playing the role of the vampire that is being tortured by Blade. And this plays different in Spain than it plays anywhere else in the world. Imagine someone torturing Adam Sandler. Oh,
Jim
can
Carrey.
you imagine that? Or Jim Carrey.
When I talked to Wesley after you guys got back from the trip to Spain, I said, did they love you there? He goes, they like me.
It's his blood cocaine.
They love Segura.
Yeah, Segura is a big star over there. And we wanted to show these vampires very laconic, snorting plasma all day and really bored out of their skulls. There was a little subplot in this thing that I cut out of the movie, which is it's a milking factory, and they basically are milking Whistler, and they're basically putting his blood in packages, and that's what they're guarding. They're guarding milking machines where they milk humans. You can see the cartons, you can see the logo of the milk factory outside, but
it's the Moo Cow.
The Moo Cow factory, it was called, and I decided against it. This was the first big fight, this first big choreography we did in the movie. This is one of the fights choreographed by Donnie Yen.
Yeah, there was a little wonderful rivalry that existed throughout the movie between Jeff Ward, who was the stunt coordinator on the movie and very talented fight coordinator, and Donnie Yen, who was, a legend.
In Hong Kong.
And each one had a kind of different approach to how they would treat the fights. We during the movie, during production, we referred to this as the Jackie Chan fight.
Yeah, we called it Jackie Chan because it was the one having a little bit more of comedic Hong Kong action. And one of the things Wesley and I discussed early on was that we would try to make each fight on the movie a different style, so that instead of seeing, another fight, you would have this first one, which, as he characterized, would have a lot of anger and a lot of expediency, because he doesn't care about who he's killing.
He wants to get to Whistler.
He wants to get to Whistler. So the urgency and the fun and the rapid way he dispatches the vampires responds to that. And every time a new fight arrived, I would treat it visually and choreographically, we would treat it different, so that you don't get to see two fights that are exactly the same in the movie. And that also is helped a lot by the fact that we have essentially 4 fight coordinators. You have Jeff Ward, Wesley Snipes himself, Donnie Yen, and Clay Fontenot.
That's Wesley's fight.
Yeah, Wesley's double. Although the main weight of the fights went to Jeff Ward, and he did a splendid job at it. This originally was scripted to be a moment between Whistler and Blade, where Whistler resurrected and attacked Blade, and they had a little fight. And
clearer heads prevailed.
It was just so ridiculous when I did shoot the first shot of Whistler waking up and saying, "I told you to finish me off." But it was beyond laughable, so I opted for a more quiet samurai-like moment for between Blade and Whistler, where Blade cuts him loose, looks at him, and changes his mind. You can see that he was originally intending to kill him, and he doesn't. And his human decision of not killing his partner of so many years towards, in many ways, the vampire plan.
Now, we had endless conversations about whether or not Whistler's eye should open here, whether we should know that he's alive or not.
Yes, and we tried different cuts on this, and I thought that it was very important to have the eye contact between them. And the following scene reintroduces the Blade Mobile, which is this muscle car from the 70s, the Charger.
Yeah, you get a good look at it, because this is about it in the movie.
That's about it in the movie. We wanted just to have continuity with the first one. He does not transport too much on this one, on the car.
I just want to point out that this car barely ran.
This car ran enough
to coast into this stop.
Essentially, when it stopped for good.
Yeah, we were in the Czech Republic. We couldn't go out to Canoga Park for
the big problem is that a 70s Charger souped up in America is truly an easy thing to find.
Yeah.
But when you are in the Czech Republic and you realize that New Line has auctioned the first car on in the internet, as they auctioned every single prop in the goddamn first movie, we didn't have anything. We had only photographs, and I actually bought back some props on eBay in order to have a reference.
We just to talk about this scene for a second. We missed my favorite ad lib in the whole movie, where Wes comes in, Blade comes in, and Scud, who's, I think Norman and I counted, he smokes about 37 joints on camera in the movie. And he offers Blade a toke of smoke, as he says, and Wesley just ad-libbed later.
He's the only superhero that didn't say no.
Yeah.
Just said later.
He inhales. But none of the audience seem to catch it.
No, they don't. Well, some people catched it, but
I love it.
This scene introduces one of the lighting ideas we had. The DP, Gabriel Beristain, another nice fat Mexican,
and a genius.
A genius. We wanted to do. He did two of my favorite movies in terms of lighting: Dolores Claiborne and Derek Jarman's Caravaggio. And when we talked about this scene, we talked about it being chiaroscuro, and we tried to introduce into the movie a real chiaroscuro. And, Gabby Beristain did study the concept of chiaroscuro for Caravaggio. And when Peter and I met with him, we asked him if we could count on doing an action movie Caravaggio.
Yeah, we said, Gabby, if you can do Caravaggio as an action superhero, you've got the gig.
You got the gig. If we can do 70 setups a day, but they can all be beautifully chiaroscuro, you got the gig.
And we never waited for him.
No, this is one of the fastest DPs I've ever worked with. About 10 minutes between setups. And this is a moment that it was originally scripted to be much more casual, and Wesley and I decided that it should be more samurai, like a samurai waiting for his master to wake up. for his best friend.
Blade's not a casual.
Yeah, no, Blade is not a casual character, and we made it much more ceremonial. By the way, since we came up with this idea in the morning before shooting it, the box that he pulls out the gun out of, it's a cigar humidor. Not very ceremonial, but it looks pretty fancy in the movie.
Then we actually put that flashback that we just saw
Yeah.
in quite late in the editorial process.
Originally, it was just a transition from yellow to blue, but we thought that part of the clarification for those who did not see the first movie was to show the flashback and show that, in fact, we're not cheating, that you never saw Whistler shoot himself.
Yeah, that's not cheating.
Well,
it depends what your definition of
cheating
if is.
Well, I did not have sex with that woman.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's like, if oral sex doesn't qualify as sex,
Whistler didn't actually kill
someone was
himself
doing something wrong.
on camera.
Exactly, but in comic books, if there's no corpse, there's no death. And this is a gorgeous shot, one of my favorite chiaroscuros in the movie. Very beautiful.
And one of the best deliveries of Goyer's dialogue. It's true.
It is. And this was a scene that I really wanted to have because you can see the connection between Blade and Whistler as father and son. That it's affectionate, but it's not
Homosexual.
not in a conscious way. In a non-genital way, they are, but what can you do?
It's father and son, you're right.
Father and son, but it's not overly sentimental.
And this is one of my favorite things in the movie. Blade moving from city to city with his workshop, and he carries this enormous scale with him at all times, so Whistler can find his wedding ring that he left behind.
Which he left behind before shooting himself. Although if you watch carefully, the ring is there when he grabs the gun in the flashback, so...
No, absolutely.
He had time to hide it while bleeding copiously from the head. If logic is your forte, go see AI. But if you want to see an entertaining movie, welcome to this one.
There's a couple of holes.
We wanted to establish, when I was talking to Whistler and Scott, meaning Norman and Chris, I wanted to establish a rivalry between the new wife and the old wife, the ex-wife. So, essentially, they are competing for Blade's attention. And there's immediately established that they hate each other and they cannot get along. Their approach to technology, to the care of the car, to the care of the tools is completely different.
Point out that you didn't say to Chris, you're the competing wife.
I did say that. I did say that to him. And
is that when he hit you? Is that when I
that's when he tried to break my leg. And Norman is wearing a BPRD shirt, Bureau of Paranormal Research and Development, which is a little inside joke about Hellboy, which is going to be my next movie, hopefully.
It will be. God damn it.
And now we go into a totally different fight sequence. This is the ninja fight sequence. I wanted it to be blue and gold. On the day, Gabby and I decided to go for this absolutely crazy cobalt blue.
Yeah, but it's very stylish.
It looks beautiful. And, we cut out a little bit here that you will see on the deleted scenes. An interesting little bit where we question Whistler's loyalty. I love this shot. It's a single shot that establishes Blade grabbing the sword. And what we wanted to do with this, I wanted to establish this ninja as being absolutely stealth and absolutely silent, because originally, the screenplay makes no sense in the sense that they are here to deliver a message, but they engage in a 4-minute fight. So I said, well, let's at least have them enter silently, and before they can talk, they are shot at, and they have to defend themselves from the shooting. And then, as part of the character development of Nisa, I said, well, if Nisa would see Blade in a hostile situation, she would try to stop him, but she would be also curious about testing him as a warrior.
See, because just how good he is. She's heard
very
about
competitive.
Him for so long.
So here we go. This is a completely different style fight. This is very video gamey, very Hong Kong style.
Yeah, but with a little Gene Kelly thrown in.
Yeah, a little bit of American in Paris.
I kept going, Jesus, Guillermo.
Stanley Donen and I am.
Yeah. Is Sid Charisse gonna pop out of this ninja outfit?
But what we had on this one is I wanted to divide the cutting style between really rapid cuts and more balletic moments, and we designed these goggles to be used like a cartoon, to widen up or close, to reflect emotion from the ninjas. Since they had no face, it was totally covered. And here we have two of the shots in the movie where we use the L cam that I am not happy about.
This was our little...
This was or Waterloo, the scene. It was very difficult to...
It wasn't for lack of trying.
No, God knows we did as many versions of these shots as possible. This one and this one are acceptably good, but we're going to this Against the Light, which I wanted very much. They were one of the earliest things I pitched again about the movie.
I think that one of the reasons why these are as weak as they are is because the shot itself is set up almost on a proscenium.
Yeah.
And I mean, it looks like a video game. Just having it on that kind of stage.
The thing is, when we conceived it, we were going for motion capture, and for those of you that are curious, we ended up frame animating the whole movie. We did not use motion capture at all. We captured
we
photographically.
digitized.
Yeah, we digitized the actors for texturing. We texture mapping, but we did not motion capture any of the movie. So I think in retrospect, for this particular fight, it should have been motion capture.
Wait, let's just all listen very carefully to one of the great introductory lines in motion picture history.
Hey, turn on to the next channel and listen to Goyer. Let's see if he says something about this line.
Enemy. But now there's something else loose on the streets. Something worse than you.
Oh my God.
For your consideration, please.
This line was one of the hardest deliveries, aside from a crossed child. It was terrifyingly,
it was
terrifyingly bad. But at any rate, this
was a fabulous moment.
What this does at least is establishes the MacGuffin of the ring, and it introduces the fact that Blade is not going unarmed to the meeting. He has, as always, as the style demands, he has a ton of explosive in this coat.
He gets to flash Nisa with all of his ammo.
With all of his ammo, and that should be a required attire for any gala occasion. Be full of bombs, especially when attending awards. If you don't get it, you can blow up the whole auditorium.
Suddenly, in today's world, that's a very loaded image.
And this is an entire set. Everything in Caliban Industries is a set. It was probably one of the biggest sets in the movie, and it had to be reconstructed from Prague into LA to finish the final fight because Wesley pulled out a tendon on his knee during the final fight scene, so we had to reproduce it. And this idea was to introduce the DNA checking system on the blood of the vampires. We talked about what kind of security would they have, and we decided, since they are a blood culture, they would examine the blood and the DNA in it before authorizing the entrance here.
And Guillermo's whole vision of this being, the vampires in the first movie were very, very high tech, and what Guillermo did is keep the high tech, but add this almost insanely old world vibe to Damaskino.
The idea was to have a character here that is so old and so used to winning that he really is extremely cocky about the way he plays the game with the blade and eventually loses, because he is very full of himself, full of hundreds of years of victories and so forth. And this is my line. Here comes my funny line in the movie, which Goyer accepted.
You're human. Barely. I'm a lawyer.
Hey, well, that's as funny as I get.
That's pretty good.
What can I do? And here are my favorite things in life is things in jars. I cannot avoid it. I have to have intestines or fetuses in jars.
I would always walk every new set doing a jar count.
Doing that, and this is the beginning of a scene that you will see in deleted scenes that I actually wanted very much in the movie, but it ruined the pace, so it went out. It ended on the deleted scenes. Go to that chapter immediately after this, and essentially what I think is interesting about the way the movie is plotted by Goyer was that we dealt with the story on the move. We never stopped to have quiet character moments, and that is a quality. The rhythm that Goyer has, we laugh about some dialogue and so forth, but the quality of Goyer's writing is that it's very active.
It's like being in a blowgun.
Yeah,
You're just going.
It's very much like a comic book rhythm, and that I appreciate and admire of the little tattooed mogul. He has a very good sense of rhythm for this kind of movie.
Yeah, and pace.
And when we originally wanted to reintroduce Nomak after this scene, it was going to take place in a convenience store, showing Nomak interacting with the real world.
Which I really wish we'd done.
Yeah, which was a really nice scene. It was designed to be a really cruel cat and mouse, but we ended up replacing it for what you will see next, which is the drug dealer scene.
The big argument throughout the movie, and I think it ended up being fine, was the question of how much of this we wanted to take place, how much of this spills over into the real world.
My take on it was very little, because the entire thing was so outlandish that I wanted a world where you literally could walk into a nightclub in full regalia, with weapons, with a uniform, with incredibly big swords, and no one would stop you.
Well, you obviously haven't spent that much time in L.A.
Yes, Guadalajara is very different. And the working with this movie was a pleasure in the construction of that world, because the colors, the palette of colors and the textures and shapes allowed me to have probably one of the most experimental, creative, and free movies visually. It's the one I've had the most fun, just inventing stuff, images and crazy moments. Resting assured that Goyer's screenplay was supposed to make sense, and the movie has a lot of control over its shades. One of the things that you will notice is that all the nights are amber, and this is an idea that was proposed to me by Gabby Berstein. If you see the scene before this, daylight is blue and night is amber, and we wanted to, from that moment on, introduce a very crazy color palette to the movie. We have scenes that are completely blue, like the ninjas. Then we have scenes with red, with very bright reds and so forth, and to create a comic book feeling with that.
One of the really fun things about the movie, and hopefully about the next one also, is this is so much your movie, Guillermo. Just like the first one was so much Norrington's, and even though there's a kind of baseline of Bladeness running through both of them. Mm-hmm. Visually, rhythmically, they're very distinct. And what you talking about, the palette of the movie
and the gothic feeling in some of the scenes.
Yeah, I mean it's so it's such a signature, and I'm so happy that you were able to satisfy yourself and still reinforce the kind of the brand of Blade.
The idea was to do Blade 2, not to do Devil's Backbone 2, and as such, the way the camera moves, the way the camera works with the characters, and the rhythm of the movie is something that I was experimenting and discovering a lot as we went along, and I really enjoyed freeing the camera to be more like this, more
this is a
actively roaming.
Scene.
This scene was one of the first scenes that changed once I came on board, and when I talked to Goyer about making this the Dirty Dozen kind of movie, and the interaction between Blade and Perlman is half the Dirty Dozen and half they call me Trinity, or my name is Trinity. You know, in Mexico, those Italian Bud Spencer and Terence Hill movies were so huge, and I enjoyed the slapstick fighting so much.
Yeah, let's not forget the Three Stooges.
Yeah, but it has that that kind of audience satisfaction, funny energy.
Well, also, it was just such a genius stroke to cast Perlman in this
Which was
role.
not easy to convince everybody about that.
No, not at all. You were very resolute.
I was I am Ron Perlman's agent in the world, and I keep trying to find him the best jobs I can. And originally, this was there was a lot of insistence of casting a German actor on
Well,
this.
because, I mean, the way David had written it, he was really this kind of white supremacist.
Is the first German, is the first Nazi played by a very large Jewish man from LA in many years. And I love the simplicity of Goyer's lines. Seriously, I enjoy it. And this is purely comic book moment when he puts the flechette on Reinhardt and he says, now you have an explosive device stuck to the back of your head. I love this delivery.
And
Here we go. Listen.
flawlessly.
Now you got an explosive device stuck to the back of your head.
It's such a beautiful matter-of-fact statement, and it establishes the lineage and establishes the chain of command in the relationship of the Blood Pack and Blade. And it was a great, very dynamic way to establish that they are going to hate each other for the rest of the movie. No matter what they do, they were off to a no good, they were off to a bad start, and they will remain like that, rivals for the rest of the movie. And in terms of this, is I feel that these movies, if you hopefully see them as a trilogy when they finish the third one, you will be able to see not only the different flavors of the directors that do them, but also the fact that the first one deals with all the mythos and all the front load of who the character is, introductions, blah, blah, blah. And the second one, I was blessed to be working in the shoulders of all that work and just have fun. This is the main thing about this movie, was I wanted it to be totally, absolutely fun. And Goyer's dialogue and Goyer's energy and the pacing allow me to do that.
Yeah, and Wesley's attitude about the character also, because he was quite concerned that we sort of let go of some of the angst, the self-loathing.
No more Hamlet.
Yeah, Blade just wants to have a good time, just killing as many vampires as possible.
And you can see there will be moments coming soon where you can see Blade having more attitude. And this whole scene introducing these characters that are literally, if you take a second to think about it, they are uploading automatic high-power guns in the middle of the street. I didn't want any of the real world in this thing.
Well,
I wanted
in the first movie, Blade walks around downtown
LA.
Gotham City,
Yes.
and no one seems to bat an eyelash.
with shooting a cop of all activities.
Yeah.
But at any rate, again, the neon, the vapor, the fire in the distance, the yellow night, the amber night, all these things cooperate to make this more comic book and more funny. Here comes a moment where Blade literally is just fucking with the blood pack that makes his character more relaxed and more fun than before. And I wanted to capture the aftermath of that moment, having a really cool intro of them as a group. And I designed what I call the Magnificent Seven shot, which is about to come after this little moment. And it was, the whole idea was that these guys, even if they hate each other, when they work in the House of Pain, they try to be as efficient as a group as possible. They are a little army. And this is the idea behind this shot.
This was also Happy Walter's greatest contribution to the movie.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful song.
Massive Attack and Most Def. I said, Happy, can you get Massive Attack to do something, or something that sounds like Massive Attack? And he said, sure. And I was like, what? And 2 weeks later, he produced this track. So
you can see in the sight, in the telescopic sight of the rifle, that every other vampire is blue, meaning they're really cold, except Blade, who has a body temperature higher than them, and is red.
he's huge.
Just in case you want to be.
There's a logic.
Push rewind.
Yeah, it just
It was a nice little touch.
if you run into Bob Shea, tell him that you really tracked the vampire logic in the movie.
Yes, please do that.
We had to convince him over and over again.
Now, the introduction of the House of Pain, I wanted to do through very few touches. Hopefully, you would understand that they come here to experience pain. There was some lines to that respect that were not the greatest lines. They were not working that great. So we wanted to introduce more the feeling of the place through the tools that you saw and the amounts of people and the energy and the things that are taking place in there.
I defy anybody who could tell me they've been to a nightclub where they saw a spine being replaced.
Yes. Even in LA, that's a rarity.
Yeah.
But the idea on the design of this club was also to have a motif of the sun in the background, in the main stage, aside from a place where you can eat a razor blade and kiss, have a French kiss. You have a place where, as a vampire, you can contemplate the sun in the back. It's an artificial sun, and we wanted to do it originally with back projection, with rear projection, have a rear projection of a real sunset the whole time, but it proved to be technically really difficult, very expensive. I mean, mind you,
And
this is-
ultimately kind of beside the point.
yeah, this is $54 million movie, and we tried to squeeze every penny out of those 54, which right now would buy you, terms of endearment with two actors and no more. All the superhero action movies are now 80 million and upwards.
Triple digit, baby.
Yeah, and we were trying to be efficient about it. And again, here's comic book moments, comic book transitions where the camera kind of goes through walls, just trying to keep it with that kind of thing. And you will see another one like that coming really soon, where the camera goes through the floor. And it gives the movie just stylistically a camera storytelling that is not realistic.
It's free.
It's very, very free. This is a scene that I loved. It was done totally mounted on a crane.
And this was a Wesley. He constructed the logic of this scene.
Yeah, he said he asked Goyer and I if we could come up with something, with a moment between Blade and the Blood Pack where they think they have him and he has them before they even realize. And Goyer came up with this idea, and Wesley came up with that smile, and Ron Perlman came up with that "fuck you," which I love. And here's this second camera moment where we can go through walls or through the floor, and make the style of the movie a little more comic book. And we present that underneath this dancing floor there is this sewage. I justified it saying that if there was a lot of blood, they would just hose it down into that sewage and throw the bones and the carcasses down there for rapid cleaning of this vampire place. And at the same time, the private rooms, the private booths in the House of Pain, which originally we shot 3 of these private booths to show you what they were doing, but it interrupted the flow of the movie.
Keep it moving, baby.
Keep it moving. So she goes into the corridor, and we don't see what they're doing. We see feeding here. But I wanted the House of Pain to have these little moments of a little bit more atmosphere. It's impossible to generate the suspense that you can generate with regular people in a situation of jeopardy
And this
with
is all
these guys.
this little subtext here, the subplot of the lovely domestic bliss of Verlaine and Lighthammer.
Lighthammer, the Aussie and Harriet of depravity.
Yeah, something that you completely cooked up. And
Well, when it came time to work with the actors, you realize that on the page, essentially everybody is just a name and some dialogue. So we cooked up Reinhardt's character on the movie, on the go. We cooked up everybody on the Blood Pack on the go, because there was very little on the page about what they were or what they really did and how they interacted. So we made a friendship between Reinhardt and Chupa, and a friendship between Priest and Assad, and so on and so forth. And the idea, I mean, here you generate suspense much more with Scott than with the Blood Pack or Blade, because essentially Scott is the audience. He's the only character in the movie that you can feel fear for, because everybody else has superpowers or automatic guns or this or that. So no matter how much atmosphere you put into a scene where Blade is walking into a creepy room, you're not afraid because he's Blade. So these are precious moments of atmosphere with Norman that I wanted again to have the camera be very voyeuristic and very fluid to keep the suspense. The same with this. I think Nisa is probably one of the most human vampire characters of the movie.
And we were really just, from the producer's perspective, I was really worried about all this because Guillermo was trying something that was crazy ambitious. Having 3 or 4 or 5 different action storylines
At the same
running in parallel. And
Original, the way they were written as each one was a set piece, but we both the editor and I felt that it would be much more efficient to keep them parallel and build them each separately, and they all reach the same points at the same time. Like right now, in every one of the storylines, you're gonna start establishing a Reaper or fear or suspense. Very soon, you're gonna establish an attack and danger. Then you're gonna establish in each one of them a moment in each of the characters, things that they have won, they shoot, they hit, or they slash the Reapers, and then parallel they come back and attack them, and you have the outcome of that attack.
But the thing is that it really, the way it ended up through the editorial process, the audience really can track everything that's going on. And right as they're about to kind of be released in one stream, you cut away to the next.
The whole idea was, since we had these parallel actions, we wanted to have the suspense mount not by one single character, but by the accumulation of these moments. And it's probably one of the sequences that I am the proudest of in the movie in terms of craftsmanship, because as a director, it tests a lot of what it is to rhythmically build the sequence, and as in the editing room, it really puts you to create these things. Peter Amundsen is probably the best editor I've seen. I mean, I really enjoyed working with him, and I hope to work with him again and again the rest of my life. And he, since I edit on Sundays, I shoot all weekend. I edit on the weekend. We were able to put together the first little section of this before continuing shooting. And when I came back to the shoot, the rest of the sequence was shot to be divided into different episodes, because Peter and I put it together on the weekend and said, let's try for parallel.
Yeah, but remember, we had to reshoot some of this stuff.
Yeah, we did.
Based on not liking the lighting.
On makeup.
Yeah, on makeup.
And lighting. So this was originally a 4-day shoot, 4-day sequence, and it ended up being 5. And it compressed other sequences into being shot in a shorter time, but it was worth it. I think it's 4 days that were really well utilized.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's the action. It's action-wise what the blood shower opening in the first one was. And
what I like is that every time you see the Reapers being hurt, you see them recuperate like nothing. Like any violence that can be inflicted on them is nothing. I wanted very much, this is one of my favorite things in the movie, it was to do an exaggerated shootout, like no shootout has ever been done. I wanted to out-Peckinpah in the amount of bullets and squibs and so forth.
And swords.
And I wanted it to be literally ridiculous, to the point where they were destroying the walls, they were killing other vampires, they were blowing up the floor to pieces.
Where they ultimately start to say, this is ridiculous.
This is ridiculous.
This doesn't work.
And the Reapers are unfazed. And all this stuff with Norman is shot between 3 different locations. The inside of the van is shot on a stage, and the outsides were shot at night in the streets. Here we're gonna see the vampires disintegrate, which I like that shot, that they kill innocent vampires bystanders.
Innocent vampire bystanders.
There we go.
Could
Boom,
only
boom,
be
boom.
in Blade 2.
Yeah, and the thing with the division between Norman being shot on a stage and on the real street was because we were all the time having to shoot half a day
Let's just talk a little bit
in
about
daylight.
that wire gag. Jimmy, the stunt guy, came literally within a half inch
Of dying.
of dying because he just cleared the barrier that was stabilizing the rig.
Needless to say, I wanted another take, but I stayed with this one.
Jimmy would have given it to you. I mean, I don't think there's no way to top that.
Yes. No, what I was saying is the whole movie was scheduled like a vampire schedule in a way. There was no configuration to avoid shooting some daylight, but the movie has no daylight. So we ended up shooting everything that was close up on a little stage for half a day, and then shooting wider shots in daylight in nighttime locations.
This was a winner.
This is something I came up with on the day, and I asked to reconfigure that gag. Originally, the Reaper was supposed to loosen the swords and run upwards, and I said, what if he basically castrates himself by crawling upwards? And, since we were spending the money on digital and cable effects, I decided it would be a good idea to better utilize it by making the gag more effective.
It worked.
And
It certainly freaked us out.
the level of violence of the attack of the Reapers towards Priest and towards Lighthammer, I wanted it to be very, very high to show basically rabid dogs kind of attack. They are not happy with just drinking your blood. They want to break your hand and they want to smash your head against the column 3 times.
No, I mean, they're described in the movie, and we always talked about the Reapers as essentially the crack addict versions of vampires.
Yeah, they don't want to hear your story. When is the last time anyone talked to a burger? No one talks to burgers. The Reapers don't talk to their victims. And this is a little crucifixion moment, which, again, I cannot avoid in my movies. I don't know why.
And I don't think you can avoid licking moments either.
Licking
Guillermo.
moments are nice. And this, I wanted to do as a single shot, so you can not see this coming. I wanted a single circular shot where you didn't see a cut for the effect. And literally, we were lucky enough to, in an internet world, keep the Reaper feeding mechanism under wraps until the movie opened. And I enjoyed that moment with an audience probably more than any other moment in the movie.
Yeah, I think people were really surprised and freaked out. I was actually surprised and freaked out when you shot this.
Yes.
And the hemorrhoids came out of this Reaper's back.
Yeah, we called it. I wanted like the ticks or the mosquitoes. The Reapers would have a very efficient mechanism, and they would filter the blood through these bladders and then drip the excess fluid in the back like a tick or a mosquito does. That essentially they feed and they take a shit at the same time. In the insect world, there's no room for politeness, and I wanted the Reapers to be doing that, just feeding and excreting at the same time. Another touch that makes them the perfect guest for a Christmas dinner.
Yeah, it was fun being in Prague in the middle of the night, having Guillermo explain the feeding and scatology of Reapers to me.
It's nice because although we don't have time to fully explain their biology, it seems and plays coherent. The idea was that their metabolism gets so fast and their bodies get so hot that they start losing hair. They become hungry fast. They have very warm temperatures, body temperatures, and
I always loved that Verlaine, so into Lighthammer that she was, didn't bother to check out the giant gaping wound on his neck.
well, she's on the wrong side to check that.
Yes, of course.
But here's the explosion of the Reapers. I wanted to do again very comic book like, and what I wanted was like in anime and comic books, when a character explodes, sometimes you can see the skeleton for a millisecond before they fully explode, and you can see here the X-ray, what we call the X-ray moment, and then they explode like nobody's business.
But the best touch is the little flares.
The little
that fall
flares
down.
falling.
Yeah.
Which we wanted to play it graphically not real. And this is my favorite moment of the Reapers.
Guillermo always promised me that we would just barely see them all.
Yes.
And then, of course, you have a full...
Well, that's what Peter wanted to hear, so I lied.
Yeah. And
Peter wasn't into this whole discreet thing with the Reapers.
Less is more.
Yeah, less is more my ass. I mean, less is more in atmospheric movies. In action horror movies, more is more, baby. And this is a discussion we had because...
endlessly. And you can see who won.
Yeah, well, it was not hard. But but the whole point of these things is I define horror as two different types of horror. One is playing hide and seek, which is atmospheric movies where you are dealing with the absent. Someone is hiding. Is he going to be found? Are they going to scare him when they found him? Or are you going to, if you're searching for him, you open doors and is he going to jump out of the darkness? That's one type of horror. The other one, which is this one, is tag. You're it. And in that,
you're absolutely
is
right.
more is more.
No, and it becomes comic book and fun and visceral. But I think that the thing that the movie wasn't, which was surprising to me, is it really wasn't scary where I thought it would be.
No, it would be. It's a movie that is more violent and scary in the tag sense. I mean, the violence that is inflicted is far more outlandish, but again is like an anime. In anime, all these characters, like the Reapers, could come out straight of Wicked City or Demon City, Shinjuku, or any of the Ninja Scroll, whatever. And here we come to. We had the first two fights, meaning the ninjas and the fight on the ramp, were coordinated by Donnie Yen, and that was the extent of Donnie Yen's contribution to the movie. This fight and every fight after this is coordinated by Jeff Ward, the original fight coordinator of the first movie. And you will see, again, visually, we treat it different than any other fight. We found this location. This fight takes place in a church downtown LA. It's that's where we shot it. It was shot, yeah, well, of course. That's where we shot it, and I wanted to have this whole scaffolding and statues wrapped.
I love it that when people see the movie, they say, "Yeah, that church where they're fighting up on the ramp. That's so Prague. You guys were so smart to go over there."
Yeah, and this is LA.
We went down to Figueroa.
But the whole point of this fight was to have Noma kind of kick the shit out of Blade, to get the winning hand, until Blade uses very smartly the sunlight, and this is very different in style from the other fights, thanks to Jeff Ward and a visual and camera treatment that is unlike the other two fights or the fights to follow. And the scene that follows after this is a well-earned R-rating scene, which is the death of Priest, the infamous death of Priest.
NC-34.
NC-34. The idea was to show that being bitten by a Reaper and the aftermath of that is not pleasant. And when you have, your body starts warming up and hurting and all that, and basically your blood burns, and they talk about it, his temperature and so forth, and you can see, if you watch carefully, that Chupa is holding him by the hair in a second and pulls out a chunk of hair.
I don't think you really have,
there we go.
You don't have to watch that carefully to see that, Guillermo.
Yeah, well, and to make it a painful death and a painful type of bite as opposed to a languid, I'm gonna lay here in my night robe until I turn into a vampire kind of transformation. And this is, to say the least, a very graphic moment, and I wanted to have humor in that graphic moment, because anime is like that. Anime combines the visceral with the funny, the dramatic with the comedy, and I wanted this decapitation to have the audience laughing for a moment. No one believed when I shot this, that people would laugh at this moment when the half head blinks.
Well, it's so freaks out the audience that they have to laugh.
Absolutely. But that's why this is the only genre I do. Because this is the genre that I really know and enjoy doing. Because to calibrate this kind of laughter in the middle of a tense sequence, and to tell the producers and the studio, don't worry, the audience is going to take it lightly, the audience is going to laugh, and actually watch the audience laugh as you expected at that moment is really refreshing. Imagine that in Gosford Park. How would that play? Jeremy Northam's severed head blinking at Maggie Smith.
Yeah, I think they actually shot that sequence.
They removed it. It's on the DVD though.
It didn't test.
Here's a beautiful CGI makeup extension moment. I try to use CG for moments that don't need it but benefit from it, like this one. It's just such a beautiful addition, and the audience is not expecting it because it's a quiet moment, and I think it takes you to a new level of reality. This scene, Peter Frankfurt would have given me a new bike if I cut it out.
Well, you cut half of it out.
I cut half of it out, but I wanted to establish that beneath the world beneath, there is another world yet that they will have to explore in order to find the Reapers. And this is a quiet blood jello moment for the mosquitoes. I wanted to show his chamber having a bunch of TVs pouring out the latest information in the background.
Yeah, he's wired.
Yeah, he's wired to the real world while talking to the lawyer in basically a Romanic ruin, a Roman age ruin.
That events are unfolding as scripted.
You've already lost one of your own. How many more are you willing to sacrifice?
Everyone?
This here it's what I called a Mignola moment, a Mike Mignola moment. It was lit and designed to look like a Hellboy comic book, with all the statues in the background, the contrasted light, and this pool of blood, all very graphic and very comic book-like. In the style Mignola uses.
That's a Del Toro moment, my friend.
And this is the first moment in the movie, in the shoot. This came in probably the second or third week of the shoot, and it was the first moment that I enjoyed shooting because it had a monster in it. I said, this is the movie I'm liking. It's not action, it's not fights. I'm shooting this great horror moment.
We shot this scene for about 2/3 of a day.
Yeah.
And I was like, Guillermo, this is a very simple scene. Why?
No, because I love this. Look at this painting. It's like that beautiful Wyatt painting, Christina's World.
Reaper's World.
But it's a Reaper in the middle of a cell.
You said to me when I said, should we move on? You go, I'm having such a good time.
Yes, but the whole point is this movie, and we'll talk about this autopsy in a second, but this movie, to me, was a challenge in the sense that one of the first conditions that I asked from the studio and from Peter was that they allowed me to shoot this movie without any second unit, any insert unit, any action unit, nothing. All first unit, like a little independent film. And Peter keeps thinking it's part of my psychosis.
Well, it is. Psychosis is too strong a word, but pathology might be it.
But I like the idea that every single thing that you see in the movie is done and sanctioned.
Guillermo has his fingerprints on it. He's licked it.
Remains the same, but there's no mandible bone.
It's totally 100% him.
And I feel that when you go, this is not, to me, imagine that, a gory scene. To me, this is a beautiful, fascinating scene. Because the amount of ingenuity that goes into creating these things is enormous. It's not like a gore film, like a cheap splatter film, where you basically have a dummy and then you go to the butcher shop and buy sheep's intestines and just pour them in. The creativity of designing these things from the inside out, the ingenuity of people like Wayne Barlow or Constantine, the designer for the makeup company, that go into designing all this biology, create the feeling that if something is dead and it looks real when it's dead, then it should have been alive. It's a strange logic, but it's what I call kind of retro logic for the
reductive logic.
Reductive logic. Thank you, bastard. In order to make the biology and make the character feel like it was really alive, you go through the autopsy.
But when I first talked to you about Blade, this was the first scene that you described to me.
Yeah.
And, inexplicably, I was completely excited about it. But, I think the reason is because it gives a kind of respect to the vampires. Mm-hmm. Just in terms of screen time. And also, David loves the kind of pseudoscience of the whole vampire experience.
Yes.
And this takes it to a different level. I mean, beyond just fabulous terminology, this is actual biology before your eyes.
And what I wanted was to show that these things, if you kill them or you try to kill them, they keep moving, they keep coming at you. And the only way to show it is to show this moment. And it clarifies a lot of things, including that their only vulnerable point is the side of the heart, which is, something when you see the Harryhausen movies and when you see any fantasy movie, they tell you, you can only kill the Cyclops if you hit the space between his forehead and his left nostril. Oh my God, it's like, it sounds insurmountable, but of course, at the end of the movie, the hero is perfectly positioned between the forehead and the nostril to kill the monster.
Well, as
Blade does.
As Blade does.
And this was one of my favorite moments in the movie too, because Blade says, hey, you know what? Not everybody's going to make it back tomorrow. Again, a very Dirty Dozen Lee Marvin moment where he basically says that, this is not about a game. We're not playing. Some of us are going to die tomorrow.
And again, just the tiniest little fractional moment of chemistry between Blade and Nyssa.
Yes, indeed.
And we built them up and hoarded them like dangerous drugs because they were rare.
We wanted to I like this juxtaposition of yellow light and blue light. This is something that as a young filmmaker in Super 8, I started to experiment with, and everybody kept telling me it's wrong. You cannot combine those two things. Professional cinematographers will have only one color source light, but I like it. It's just candy colors. It becomes it gives the image another level of reality,
or unreality,
and it makes it much more of a comic book page. And I liked
one of my favorite cuts in the movie, by the way. Yeah, and anybody who writes in with the right answer gets a free dinner with Guillermo and me.
Yes, but no one can tell. Here's another moment where Whistler and Scott seem to be finally making peace. They are starting to like each other.
They're bonding over weapons.
And father and son talk. And, originally I
There's
wanted...
my least favorite prosthetic in the movie.
In the whole movie. It's made with 2 cents of sugar and Jell-O. But the whole idea was to show Scott being scarred brutally in the belly, and it doesn't work like that. I wish we had more time and more a preparation for that prosthetic, but it doesn't work well. This is one of the weapons that we came up with that are inspired loosely by the Kronos device, which is a little device that just looks cute and does very little and then explodes into something brutal. And I wanted very much to have that feeling on the light grenades, very comic book-like. And I love these transitions. Look, this whole movie is constructed with black wipes. Every time we come out of a wipe, we're linking to the next shot to give it kind of a ballet, musical comedy type of feeling to the camera work. It's on the move. I hate the suiting up sequences, and I wanted to find a way to deal with them creatively with the camera. So I said, well, I'll use the characters to wipe into the next shot like that, and it's all done on camera. It's not digital or anything.
No, it's really interesting being on the floor with you, Guillermo, because you are cutting the movie in your head as you're shooting. And, I could never understand why you wanted the Steadicam down a grunt. So you got it. You've got the performance. You've got everything you need. And you'd look at me and say, but yeah, to get to the next scene, we need the frame this way.
Yes.
And you were right.
Well, the great thing about the process of editing while you shoot is that you, when you approach the set, when you arrive to the set the next day, you have exactly in your mind what you need to finish the sequence, what little pieces you were needing, and it gives you the discipline of being able to start cutting on the set on paper. I use a little notebook, and I draw all the storyboards in the morning, and I come that day and I start going through what we got and what we didn't get, and try to. I think of a sequence like a train.
It's called a shot list.
It's a shot list, but in storyboard form, you can edit in a way that you can link them, like little trains, completing a little train from caboose to the machine. And this sequence was originally much longer with some ad-lib dialogue by Chris Christopherson. You will enjoy that fabulous dialogue in the deleted scenes. I didn't think it was appropriate for it. And I was penalized all through.
But we managed to appropriate Godfather dialogue for that scene.
Yeah, well, you know, but these Godfather lines that Blade quotes, I hate the fuck out of them. I didn't want them in the movie. I fought with Goyer and I fought with Frankfurt saying this is bullshit, I hate them. And then they said, let's call 5 people in the room. And if they know they come from the Godfather, we'll take them out. I said, fuck yeah, everybody knows.
So we called 5 Czechs.
They called 5 Czech people that didn't know shit about the Godfather, and they said, no, we've never heard them.
It's amazing. I mean, we asked Patrick.
Patrick didn't know.
We asked
Lynn didn't know.
Yeah, I think we asked Ron Perlman.
And Ron Perlman, God bless his ignorance, didn't know. And every review of the movie says, and they have the cheek to quote the Godfather. And I go, see, you bastards. Now the design of the uniforms for these sequences had 2 things. One of them, each character personalizes the uniform with a little touch here and there.
Yeah, look carefully.
But also, the uniforms were very inspired by anime, by Japanese anime, and they do look a lot like they come out of an animated cartoon from Japan. They have all that hard shell quality that I love in the design. Like Nirasawa, who's a genius, uses a lot of these shapes. And this was a very delicate sequence to light for Gabby, for the DP, because we talked about doing a movie in the sewers, doing the sequence with black uniforms, black characters sometimes, black backgrounds, and very little light. And what I love about the way Gabby works is that this negative was perfectly exposed. We had enough stops on both sides of the perfect printing to have latitude and enjoy very rich blacks without finding an underexposed negative or flat lighting. And one of the things that Gabby does to achieve that, to manage, is that every light you see is a direct light. There are no bounce lights that will be soft and hard to control in keeping the chiaroscuro feeling.
And then the other thing that's complicated about this sequence is that the actual source of the light, which you can usually just kind of fudge, it's just coming from somewhere.
Yes.
This light source has a logic because it's sunlight, and that becomes a plot point with Lighthammer and Verlaine, and with Reinhardt being burned by the rays, and it made it that much more important to kind of establish it as a character.
Well, every time you see a beam of light, a strong beam of light from above that actually you can spot, they couldn't walk into it because they would be burned. So all the soft light or all the soft light is ruled out, and you gotta have sources that look stylistically good, but don't look out of place, like this one, which is completely a style thing. I mean, where is that coming from? That blue light, it's just a comic book kind of source. And
but then when you see it later on in the scene, they actually go up and they're
burn.
Obliterated by blue light.
But that's white light.
Wow.
I hesitate to correct the producer, but
you've never hesitated to correct the producer.
Never. I'm being polite. But if you look back on the backlight of Lighthammer, you can see that we have digital effects in silhouette for the maw closing in his face, and this is again one of the uses of digital effects that is very uncommon, to silhouette a digital effect. This is again digital compositing of smoke and the burning of the globe. And I love the idea of using digital for subtle things that you can control a little more than you would with physical effects.
These guys, however, were really walking on the ceiling.
we put their salaries on top of that place, and they had to reach it if they wanted to get it.
No, those are digital fellows.
The digital Reaper doubles in the movie were very important because we had normally 16 Reapers, and at the most, the day we had the most was 30 Reapers. So I had to reuse them running around the camera, crossing the lens, looking like they were a lot. And as the camera was not looking in the same shot, they would reposition themselves. So it would look like the same 10 were really 30. And one of the ways we beefed it up is when I was compositing the frame, we would put tracking markers for the CGI guys to add a Reaper walking upside down, impossibly clinging to the ceiling or the walls. And I must say that I think Phil Tippett and his guys did an amazing job with this. With the sewer sequence is one of my favorite Tippett sequences in the movie.
Incredible. And we knew that we were coming out about a month or 6 weeks ahead of Spider-Man, and that there was going to be a lot of CG character animation, not unlike what we were trying. And we kind of had challenged ourselves to do at least as well at it as they did in Spider-Man, and I think in a lot of ways we did better.
Well, I haven't seen Spider-Man, but I'm going to be there this weekend. But I like this comic book frame again. It's very... I love the Frank Miller backlit comic book images where you can see only the silhouette of the character, like in Sin City. And you can see him blasting away some enemies. And I wanted that to be like a Frank Miller type of image with Blade silhouetted against the light of the grenade, chopping them in half. This...
just a little touch of sadism in the sewers.
Whistler, we were going to make a T-shirt for the movie that read, "Have you punched Whistler today?" This is a nice composite. Again, a weird way to use digital effects is to use them with the infrared goggles. But I think that the more you use digital effects with things that the audience are not expecting to be effects, the more they believe they are real.
Yeah, the more offhand you can be.
And here we go, 16 Reapers. 16 Reapers for you, and then I cut, and those are the same 16 Reapers passing in front of the lens.
These guys,
once more.
They really earned their $5 a day.
Yeah, I must say that truly every extra and every dancer, all the Reapers were hired, they were dancers, and they were Czech dancers. And these guys totally delivered.
They were committed.
They jumped like 5 feet on the air. They landed upside down. Look, you can see Berman burning here.
We had guys who got punched in the face. I mean, it was...
They were, I mean, shooting in Prague, one of the treasures of Prague is the people. Truly amazing guys. And here you see the camera keeps moving and you have Reapers upside down, Reapers running. And it's a very throwaway use of CGI. You know, what I think is a big mistake in CGI is to linger on the effect. So what is great about this is the camera doesn't stop to showcase the guys upside down, and they are out of focus and in the background, but they're there. Because I think what is terrible with CG is when everything is sharp and the camera showcases it. Here is another quote from a comic book. This is what I call the Dr. Manhattan. This Dr. Manhattan shot, because it's a visual quote from the Dave Gibbons, Alan Moore comic Watchmen. For those of you that know it, and you can rewind and see, this is a quote exactly from the frame where Dr. Manhattan explodes in the chamber of the lab.
It's an homage.
It's an homage. And this little moment of levity of Reinhardt getting back at Blade. We had lived on the day, and we came up with in the day. And the idea with the Reapers was, one of my favorite books is I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. And what I wanted for you to have the sense with the Reapers is a constant flow of them. Like Blade, it really has to fight a lot to keep them at bay. It's not him alone on the top, and they don't even try to reach him. He kicks them, shoots them, kicks them back, punches them back.
And they just keep coming.
And they just keep coming like lemmings. And this moment with Nyssa and Reinhardt, you see they are good fighters or good warriors, but they will get overcrowded by the Reapers, and hopefully the audience feels like everybody's fucked. Everybody's fucked at this moment, and then there's the upper hand, what we call the Hiroshima shot. And if you go back to that shot before this, there's stuff flying at the lens and hitting the lens and staying there. That is digital, because one of the other things I like is for things to look like mistakes on the digital effects, and you pay for them and you ask people to make those mistakes.
But that was real flame, and I one of the things that I always think we didn't quite nail was the fact that the flame itself ended up looking a little digital, because we actually did a huge pyro in the sets,
but we desaturated it, and that's what it ended up looking like.
Yeah.
Now this I wanted to give a very fairy tale, like twisted fairy tale, like
and a Pompeii
landscape. And I remember the Pompeii figures in a National Geographic documentary, and I wanted to do this like twisted fairy tale image of Blade standing amidst the burnt enemies.
Now we had no idea that when you saw before when Wes stepped on that the ashed corpse, that it was going to burst into flame like that.
No.
And there was every chance that his leg was going to go up in
flames,
but it didn't.
No, the special effects guys covered that corpse that he was supposed to step on with iron fiber, and they said, "Oh, it will be fine. It will just pop into ashes and no problem." And all of a sudden, Wes steps on it, and a huge flame comes out, and everybody keeps silent because we knew we had only one corpse. So he had to keep shooting, and we finished the shooting of that scene, and we all applauded. But
Wes didn't know why we were applauding.
I must tell you, I had difficult swallowing water that day. My balls were right up my neck after that shot. And this originally was 20 pages of the screenplay by Goyer, which I decided to turn into just a
20
moment,
lines.
a moment of self-sacrifice by Blade towards Nyssa. A very noble act. And, originally there was this huge sexual scene between Nyssa and him.
This is their love scene.
And I said, well, I'll do a wrist job. I'll do a wrist job scene, but I will not do a love scene, because I didn't feel the romance was justified to be that big. I remember
everyone felt that way.
Yeah, I remember talking about that, and that Nomak would observe them, fascinated by Blade's capacity to sacrifice himself. And at that point, my decision to do this scene was not a very popular decision. Peter backed me up, and here it is. I mean, this is one of the best 20-page edits I could have hoped for the movie. Can you imagine having 20 pages of plot between that and the next scene? Oh my God.
It wouldn't have ended up in the movie anyway.
Yep.
But that's the advantage of being at a distant location.
Yes, no one can touch you.
Every time I had a problem with either Goyer or the studio, I just pretend that the line went dead.
Yeah, we'll be there in 2 days. All right. No, I actually must say, and this is one of the things why I enjoyed this movie so much, is that we did this movie and we were left alone, and we truly were given a chance to experiment and create, and this with Devil's Backbone are the two shooting experiences I have enjoyed the most. This moment, the actors originally gave us a 7-minute version of this conversation.
When we were shooting this night, I snuck over to Guillermo and I said, "Why are we doing an Ibsen play in the middle of
an
Blade?"
Ibsen play in vampiric? Now we come into one of my favorite sets in the movie that we used to call the James Bond set.
There's a little touch of Ken Adam.
Yes, is the whole idea. I mean, on the first Blade, the last act is essentially James Bond. You know, and the same is true for this one. He's put in jeopardy by the villain in a torture device. He bleeds almost to death, and then he regenerates and kicks ass. Right?
Yeah, fortunately, we were able to drop the quasi-biblical mumbo jumbo.
Yes, we had some biblical stuff, but what I like about this is that we were very frank and sincere about the James Bondness of the fact that someone puts a hero through a torture device
and has to explain to him what's going to happen.
Has to explain what the plan of Goldfinger is, or what why Moonraker is. Oh, Blade, you expect me to talk, Mr. Damaskinos?
I expect you to die.
Well, and here is my fetus dispensing machine.
Yeah. Soon to be seen in many malls across America.
Feel thirsty? Have a fetus.
Yeah.
And the inevitable fetus. I have.
You just can't help yourself.
I can't help myself. It's just such a beautiful image. But if you see carefully, this whole center, this cryogenics chamber, eugenics chamber is the blood is being filtered in the background, and then it's fed into the fetus machines through the floor. You can see the tubes carrying the blood and all that.
It's the belly of the beast.
And what we wanted on this one was to again look very different from the rest of the movie by making it more clinical. And Gabby Berstein came up with this scheme of lighting that is very cold and very beautiful. Contrasting again with a golden element, which is the fetuses. And we had this is what I call the explain me to me Charlie, tell me about the rabbits, George, type of section of the movie. Is where you have 7 goddamn minutes of people talking about all the crap that makes no sense in the screenplay to try to write it up. And what we wanted was, okay, let's deal with it with as much fun and energy as we can. And we tried to keep it a single line of explanation, very little pauses between the Damaskinos explanation and the Norman Reedus explanation.
Yeah, and we really encouraged Norman to ad-lib this, to let it be his.
I think that Norman does a fantastic job at delivering what is essentially an undeliverable monologue.
It's just a lot of information.
It's a lot of information, and he really owns this piece of dialogue and does great with it. Norman is one of my favorite young actors, and one of the 2 casting things that I was very happy to get away with was Ron Perlman, who had worked with me in Kronos, and Norman, whom I gave his first job in film on Mimic. He has a very small part on Mimic, and I loved his delivery of the lines on Mimic, and I insisted that he played Scott very much.
And he's a natural.
He's one of my favorite young actors, and one of the things I love is I wanted for this punchline to work. I wanted for him to talk nonstop, then go to Blade, to his dry delivery, and immediately go into a Terry Gilliam type of explosion of a human being.
Yeah.
And I would ask you to watch it with me with reverence for the 10 seconds it lasts. This is the Monty Python.
And I said to Guillermo before we blew up the Scott dummy, I said, is it going to be a wet one or a dry one? He said, don't worry, Peter, it's going to be dry and crazy.
Well, the whole point in the movie, there's a lot of violence, aside from the real violence that takes place. There's a lot of violent images. I wanted to generate the equivalent to kinetic lines in comic books. So I used the sparks, I used the dry elements like the dust inside of the dummy with Norman. And you will see with Nomak entering the place, I came up with this idea of sparks everywhere.
Yeah,
just making it violent without making it gory.
Well, but I think you've just talked yourself out of that argument as we watch this scene, Guillermo.
Well, no. This is, by the way, a Mike Mignola designed torture device, which I loved. And this is the second and last crucifixion type moment in the movie.
You brought that table home with you, didn't you?
Yes, I have it as a centerpiece of my. I have it next to my bidet. It's my toilet, my bidet, and that table. In case there are hard to reach places.
I love the fact that Whistler refers to Reinhardt here as Fritz. That we're still keeping the Nazi conceit
Yeah, we
going.
still have, or Adolf gets the first shot, you know. But you know, this is again. I wanted this. This is a little moment that I completely created out of the blue, and it was not in the screenplay, but I wanted to establish Nomak watching the place because it made no sense to me that
How he
Nomak
got
suddenly
there.
appeared. How did he get here? And so, since
Breadcrumbs.
I cannot ask that question with the characters, I cannot answer it in the screenplay. I tried to answer visually that at least he was watching them when they were feeding Nisa. Blade was feeding Nisa. He is watching now, so you know,
Yeah,
he
but
probably followed them. How? Then ask me. Call Goyer. He's on the
cares?
other commentary track.
Show, don't tell. That was the watchword of the whole third act of the movie.
And here, you know, to me, I love this scene. This is one of the other lines of dialogue that I was allowed to put in, which is, who do you really think God favors in the web, the spider of the fly? Because I think it defines Damaskinos' character and how much he feels that he is the spider and it is his web. And that's why I love to see him
like
sweat.
this. It looks like it hurts her, which
Yeah,
is
that was actually a very good little moment between her and his that I enjoy.
this is probably my least favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah. Peter fought really hard for
But
us
there was-
to make it as brief as possible.
Because this is really what you want to see.
Well, it's a preposterous explanation, of a preposterous act. And I think that as long as you assume it, and as long as you know it's there, and you're not thinking that your logic is flawless, you must, if you have no,
Well, we were boxed in. There was no other way to tell the story.
if you have no perfect and flawless logic, the next thing you have to go for, if you're the storyteller of the movie, is go for fluidity. Go for
Well,
the
it's-
movie
it's,
to
you know, it's-
flow continuously.
It's 20% of what it was, so that's something.
And once again, the fighting of Nomak and the guards is all surrounded by sparks and violent elements without gore. And this again, originally the scene was for this character to be torturing Blade, and then Whistler shot him. He fell off the frame, and you saw Whistler standing behind him. And I didn't like that idea. I wanted for Whistler to pop out like Bugs Bunny out of the below.
What's
and
up, Doc?
What's up, Doc?
We had to cut his little funny line out.
Yeah,
'cause
he used to have a little line.
it wasn't funny.
It was not funny. My favorite
See,
thing.
this is such a Guillermo touch to actually show the reverse mechanism at work.
Yes. I think those are the things that really make you go, oh.
That's true.
Because, I think selling pain in a movie is not the same as selling gore. I mean, when you show gore and splatter and all that type of stuff, and it doesn't hurt, it doesn't work as much as when you go, ooh, I can imagine what that feels like, It's, people can relate to a paper cut, but they cannot relate to an arm being chopped off. But
How do they relate to that table?
well, to me, that table is like everybody has to have the pull out of something that punctured their skin. It could be a needle, it could be a fishing hook.
Now, what's the? This is a Frazetta reference.
Yeah, the
right?
whole point of this shot was to this and Blade at top of the mound in the sewers were Frazetta composition. Frank Frazetta, who started as an illustrator of comic books and eventually became one of the sort of high-end, highly sought after illustrators, he tends to have these compositions that are triangular compositions of heroes atop of a mound of corpses or bodies or enemies fighting.
The
And
Star Wars
yeah,
posters.
the Star Wars posters were done by the brothers Hildebrand. But Frazetta has these triangular compositions, and I wanted to quote a Frazetta moment. This movie is full of little quotes to comic books. There was, on the explosions of the UV grenades, there was an element of light that is dense light that we call the Jack Kirby effect, because Jack Kirby, who was the pillar of Marvel Comics, along with Stan Lee, used to draw these dense light dots in the middle of an explosion. So, you can go back and enjoy the Frazetta composition, or you can go back and enjoy the Frazetta composition of Blade in the Sewers. That's what DVD is for. And this scene, I wanted to be able to do a heroic crawling towards the blood, with Blade really feeling like he's not gonna make it, and lead into what is one of my 3 favorite fights in the whole movie, which is the fight with the guards.
You can't believe how little Wesley wanted to go into that blood.
Yes. But he did it.
He did it, but it was just like, he had a look on his face like, you've got to be kidding.
You gotta be kidding me. And this scene and this image of him coming out of the water were the exact quotes that were written by David Goyer on the script. He said, he comes out of the blood much like Martin Sheen comes out of the water in Apocalypse Now. And I tried to replicate that feeling of grandeur of coming out of the water. And again, I put sparks to good use into this shot coming up, which I call the God shot.
It's just a
He
touch
comes
of-
out and is like, here's Wesley, and let's celebrate that Wesley's here.
It's a little touch of Wagner.
I just wanted to welcome the conquering hero. And this thing I do here is something I enjoy doing again in Kronos early in the fight between Perlman and Federico Lupis, to show he's barehanded and the other guys have weapons, and to say, here we go.
But you didn't use crystal method in Kronos,
No.
did you?
And the idea for this fight was to make it very brutal and relentless, and to again make it totally different from the fights that have come before.
Notice how each of the guys waits his turn to fight.
Yes, of
Blade.
course. This is a fully assumed convention of any martial arts movie. Is if you are attacked, Roger Ebert quotes it as one of the movie cliches of all time. You're attacked by 30 enemies, but each one waits his turn.
One at a time.
One at a time.
They take a ticket.
Yeah, but I like the fluidity of this. I think it's a very fluid fight.
And the one thing that Wesley is so adamant about is showing not only the moves themselves, but the anticipation that leads to the moves. So when we cut it, we actually cut it a little bit tighter, a little bit faster. And when Wesley would come into the editing room, he would
advocate for it being looser.
Yeah, and he's right. It's better storytelling.
It's better storytelling to see the whole move and
see where he's coming from. And
I
why.
think that 50-50 is the measuring of what we ended up with between fast cutting and showcasing the moves. Now here, we included some wrestling moves in the movie because we wanted to take away the solemnity of the fighting being just martial arts. We thought it would include some humor and show that Blade enjoys himself a little more. Here, what is coming up is one of the purely 100% Japanese anime moments in the movie, which is the moment of the enemy being sliced in half by the sword, and both halves going slowly to each side of the body, and this is completely influenced by anime
and butchering.
And butcher shops.
Yes,
I love the anatomical correctness of the inside.
But that's the scene where Wes hurt himself. Also, he cut himself catching the sword. The sword.
Now this moment, we wanted to literally quote the moment in the first movie where he catches the glasses, but I wanted him to catch the glasses in a more offhanded way here, and Wesley is the best at playing the vibe of Blade and the coolness of Blade.
Yeah.
And how offhanded he does all these
he's
heroics
Blade.
things.
And just by the way, in the script, he was supposed to blow away all of the the fetuses, and he said to Guillermo and I, "Well, no, Blade wouldn't do that." And I guess he's right.
I wanted this to be a pro-choice movie, so I made the Whistler blow the fetuses away.
Isn't it sad that you die not by the hand of your enemy?
Let the chamber do what with its body what it wants. Now this is one of my favorite little scenes in the movie, and
It's interesting. This looks like it's taking place in the lobby of CAA, doesn't it?
yes, it does. A vampire duel. This is a little bit operatic and a little bit overtly dramatic, but I wanted to have almost like a little mini light Shakespearean moment between father and son here. So the advantage of the vampiric is that it's very dramatic and beautiful to the ear, but it allowed me to write the dialogue in post and make it really what I needed and what I wanted.
Just a little bit of Greek tragedy.
I just love this too, and the way they interact. Two of my favorite actors in the movie having a moment here. I remember instructing Luke and saying, the moment he touches you is almost like you're repelled, but then you really want to embrace your father, and the motherfucker is still lying to you. And this moment, for all the craziness in the movie, for all the madness that surrounds it, to me it plays real. It's a little mini island of real feelings.
Just a marble-headed patriarch dealing with his prodigal son.
And this is purely operatic, and everybody kept asking me, why is his blood green? And I just love the idea that this guy is so old that his blood is not red anymore, and I think graphically it looks good. And America is such a logical place for movies. Sometimes, I think that people ask too many times why. And, we should enjoy the watch.
Just the studio. I don't think the audience.
No, but the audience themselves said, why is it green? Why is it green? And I just think it is green.
He's Damaskinos. He's 1,000 years old.
I enjoy very much the fact that you can get away with these images in this genre. And the moment of Nomak biting Nisa, which is sort of a strangely incestuous, odd, oblique way.
It's a little sexual innuendo there.
There's a little bit of that. And here comes my favorite fight in the movie, which Jeff Ward, the choreographer, and I discussed extensively as being like that old Charles Bronson movie,
Emperor of the North Pole.
The Larry Gordon production, Hard Times.
Hard Times, right.
The bare knuckle fist fighting movie. And we wanted to have the same
a little
drama.
bit of World Wrestling Federation.
Yeah, there is. But this is, I wanted this, again, we got with my theory that pulling out hurts, but I think it does. And again, visually, we changed the aperture in the camera to be able to get more of a strobe type of feeling in the fight. And we went for more shaky camera. We went actually handheld in every cut of this. Or we went with long lenses, even on the Steadicam. We went with a 75 or higher on the Steadicam, and higher than the hundreds in the static cameras, to make it shaky and brutal.
It was fun to use the digital shots within that kind of framework.
Within this type of brutality, we have moments of digital violence that really enhance it.
That wasn't, by the way. That was practical.
That was practical. But here we go. This is another digital moment in which, that's digital, and then we have the throwaway little figure in the background be digital, and then boom, the landing, and this goes seamlessly into another digital shot, and back into live action. And what I love is the idea that we're weaving 2-3 shots together to make an action that is very comic book like, very Japanese anime, but is hyper real. And the violence in all of this is hyper real, is totally exaggerated, and it's all about sweat I was blood. I was talking to Wesley.
And bones.
And bone. I said to Wesley, I miss sweat in action and in porn. You know, it's like no one sweats anymore. And then I like the idea of these guys really going at each other. Here he refixes his arm.
There's the porno reference.
Well, there's always that. And I think that this was the perfect fight to culminate the movie. This is a superhero moment, totally out of a superhero fight, using each other's bodies to demolish the place. You know, and that is the last digital fight shot in the whole movie. And now, the cheapest special effect of all, and the most efficient of them all, actors. Look at him. The way he swaggers into the fight.
Luke was a fantastic
The way Luke carries himself. He gave Nomak a majestic energy.
Yeah, it's almost too bad that he had so much makeup on in the movie.
Oh, come on.
Because he's a fabulous heavy.
I came up with this idea on the day. The idea of him shutting the mouth of the Reaper and headbutting him. Because I thought it would be funny to see how this mortal weapon.
Love that insert. That's such a Del Toro insert.
Well, I wanted very much to do a cut to the inside of the body to see the heart being pierced. And when I told Wesley we were doing this, he said, "Oh, come on." But it works.
It works
it's
beautifully.
quite seamless.
Yeah.
And here we go into. I love this again. I wanted all this thing to have a feeling of true tragedy.
Just a little touch of tragedy.
And I wanted him to finish himself off.
He's noble.
Yeah, and the fact is the guy knows that he's hurt mortally, so he says, let me take it in my own hands and finish myself off.
What I love is Wesley's reaction shots to it. His watching.
Well, there are none.
Yeah, but he's watching it as though it's like next.
The thing here is what I call the hammer film shot. I wanted the Christopher Lee disintegrating feeling, but with digital high end. So we reference the hammer films of Dracula, the Terence Fisher Dracula, where you see the corpse collapse very slowly. They were my favorite shots in the Dracula movies, and I wanted to do the high-tech version of it through this. And we go into the finale before the epilogue.
Well, this is the fourth finale.
The fourth finale of the movie. But this is one of the things that I was actually very attracted to the movie. When I read the screenplay, I loved the ending of him taking Misa out into the sun.
The Pieta reference.
the idea of an almost poetic image in the middle of a movie that was going to be like a rock concert of brutality. I love that idea. I think
that was part of my pitch to you.
Yeah. That's how Frankfurt got me to do it. But it's a bit like against the grain, which I like. You don't expect it to be. Now this, for those of you that have any curiosity, this was done all in post, and so we had to composite all this walking into.
As though you couldn't tell.
But all the plates in the background were plates, because we had to demolish this set in Prague and reconstruct it in LA. And
there's Whistler always coming in at the wrong moment.
Always barging in. Now, when we dealt with the way she died,
this looks like De Palma, like a bad process shot.
Yes, but I wanted the moment of her death to be different from the other vampires, in that she accepts the death. She does not explode in flames. She burns more slowly, and she essentially dies before burning. She's dying there, and I love the collapse. I find it very beautiful. And it's inconsistent to a degree with the way the other vampires explode, but I felt it was totally different. The way a warrior accepts pain, like in a seppuku or a harakiri, it's about not showing pain. It's about controlling that pain and accepting it. And I felt her death needed to be honorable and beautiful. And here's the fabulous coda.
Which I was convinced.
Now look carefully. There's a Reaper tongue next to the register. You see that? You know, since it looked like a dildo, we put it in there as an internal reference.
Last time I checked.
Sadly, we didn't show the neon sign above the door enough. This was one of the best things in the screenplay by Goyer, that the place was called Fuckingham Palace.
I was convinced that the audience would tell us to redo this epilogue, but they didn't.
They liked it. And there you go.
There it is.
Oh, look at that guy.
This is a big and beautiful baby.
Well, I want to thank you for your patience.
Are you talking to me?
No. I'm talking to the people at home.
The great thing about shooting in Prague is the day costs are pretty small, so we shot as long as we wanted.
This movie was made possible by the existence of the Czech Republic. And I thank you, and I hopefully we'll see you again in the deleted scenes commentary. And go listen to Goyer and go listen to Goyer talk like Dostoevsky, the little tattooed fucker.
Thank you, Guillermo.
So I skillfully apply the pressure. Won't stop until I'm forever one. A doorstep where death never comes. Spread across time till my time never done. And I'm never done. Walk tall, why ever run? When they move, if I ever come. Bad man never fret. Reward, tell them come. General, we are gonna start the mud. Fire, fun. I can't stop. Flesh in my flesh, your mind, and my mind. Two of a kind, but won't survive. My image is reflecting the enemy's eye. And his image is reflecting mine at the same time. I can't stop. Flesh in my flesh, your mind, and my mind. Two of a kind, but won't survive. Survive. Who am I? One man squadron. Monster the fire this time to the snatch it tomorrow. The 1,000-yard stay that appears through your armor. You can get it on right now if you want to, but when your front line get marched through, I warned you. You know who forever belong to. I can't stop. Flesh in my flesh, your mind, and my mind. Two of a kind, but won't survive. My image is reflecting the enemy's eye, and his image is reflecting mine at the same time. I can't stop. Flesh in my flesh, your mind, and my mind. Two of a kind, but won't survive. My image is reflecting the enemy's eyes, and his image is reflecting mine. Survive.
They drunk her up like liquid. How she dish? Men, women, boy, and girl got addicted. Damn, she flipped it. When gone, they missed it. Been on her, they can't stop her. Climb, you digs it? Want that? Well, you can keep that. Cause of the out there whack, but you can't see that. Evie is top notch. I had your spot watch to make sure I made it mine. Cause you can't cop block. Came up, the game up. Now your record sales is weak, but you can't blame us. Cause none can tame us. The game will never drain us. Cause we gon' stop shine. Remains us, it's all good. You taking everything sweet, but it's the problems and the pressure that they can't see. I'm trying to make a quick flip. Can you dig this? This real make a meal forever be that rich. Where my thugs at? Where my ballers at? Where my players get set?
You know where we at? Now where my ladies at? Where my mommies at? Where my bros at?
Yeah, where we at? They calling me a savage, cause I got the habit. I ain't worked this hard, not the ball and live lavish and let some clown take my shine like I ain't working overtime. I refuse them and lose my place I got in line. Please, erase your name with ease. And it was nothing cause you something got no room to breathe. Only in the big things, all day spit game. Trying to put my people up on paper before change. I be up late night, trying to get my pecs right. After every show, I gotta go, I got a late flight. Thought they had us figured out, cause we pulling figures out. Now that who is she and what's that twist about? Questions start to come about. Thought my time was running out, but never, cause I'm better under pressure. Guess you figured out. Stop all the dumb. I came to run. Think I'm leaving? Not at all. I'm having too much fun. Where my thugs at? Where my ballers at? Where my players getting set?
You know where we at? Now where my ladies at? Where my mommies at? Where my bros getting sacked?
You know where we at? Where my thugs at? Where my ballers at? Where my players getting set?
You know where we at? Now where my ladies at? Where my mommies at? Where my bros getting sacked?
Come on. Yeah. y'all be talking about. Some get away with, but they the ones who crown quick back on the block. Hustlin' scraping money up to buy a brick. Too late, cause it's over now. I done shut this whole down. Yeah, it's me again. You out of touch. Fix your frown. Come on. Come on. Who you know can flip that thing with whips and chains? In the penthouse suite, a backseat to the rain. You looking for a real chick? I'm the one for ya. Lay it down on my Versace comforter. Get straight down to it, no time to tease ya. Get this thing off the chain, well you know the procedure. Make your body shake like you're having a seizure. Ain't now chick sweeter than the Dundee for us. Material girl like Madonna, the baddest bitch and prima donna. I'm the Venus Williams of this rap thing. Teaching these lame chicks how to work they stack game. Fuck the diamond in the rough. I'm flawless. Head to toe and Donatella, we ballers. Bad girls, what they call us, too tight. Slip and slide and slip more, we getting loose, right?
Diamonds on our neck, no roof drop. Chillin' on the scene with the gangsta queens, nah man. Nah man. Everybody keep it gangsta. You know the one who keeps it gangsta. Yeah, who gon' wax you good? Who gon' wax you clean? Flip your rounds like my tongue hitting backflip series. I'm like something out your Marvel comic, except this is real life. I show you what it feel like. Meet the badass, been in badass. You that gas, watch me get the last blast. Little thing weigh a fucking change. I'm frying MCs like they was playing ting. Got glitter fingernails with the mink lapel. Loving Chris still sits on the pink champagne. The one that keeps the toast hitting, the most fitting. A little force shock when I wear my clothes fitted. Anything else after tighten my belt. Type of rounds in the club, how you fighting yourself? The daughter of Rich Porter, gotta rap this sorta. All of y'all would be fucked if I was dropping this quarter. Diamonds on our wrist, sunroof top. Chillin' on the scene with the gangsta queens, nah man. Nah man. Diamonds on our neck, no roof drop. Chillin' on the scene with the gangsta queens, nah